Hello everyone, I'm the founder of Joint Commonwealth Fund or JCF. So in this week's JCF Weekly, we're going to talk about an interesting question. Can funds have 0% fees? Okay, so to answer this question, you probably know if you are doing any kind of investments of stock markets or funds, you probably know that there are what's called like mutual funds that you can invest in. And the idea behind a fund is that because you want to invest, but you don't have the time or expertise to choose which companies to invest. So you place this into someone who's more knowledgeable and expert, a fund manager, and let the fund manager or the fund management team to handle your money for you. And they do so with a fee, right? A fee that will, support their operations. So the fees vary, usually there's what's called an entry fee, which is a fee that's taken when you invest upon your investment. And there's like annual fee, usually it's taken annually. And then there could be what's called exit fee. When you are, taking back your money from the fund, you are also charged a percentage of your investment. Now, the question that we like to explore is it possible to have a zero fee fund? Okay, no, so to answer this question, we might have to utilize, Elon Musk thinking. So Elon is a guy who has invented Tesla Motors and SpaceX. He's the founder of both companies. And he is famously known for something called first principle thinking. So what is first principle thinking? It's essentially the idea that you should start from the very principles of things, of whether things are possible. So for example, he was pondering, whether cars could be powered by electricity fully. And if you look at the current state back then, cars powered by gasoline, it's not possible due to many difficulties or many current situations. But because he started from what's called first principle thinking, that in terms of material science or physics, there's nothing that prevents a fully electric car be actually made. So he's utilizing this knowledge and thinking to actually build Tesla. So we can also start thinking about whether it's possible to have a zero fee fund, so that would be really great, right? At least to the investors. Now, what does fund do? And what are the fees used for? So the fees are used to cover the expense, right? But it also covers the profits a fund manager receives. Now, so if it's possible, if a fund can actually, let's just give it a thought experiment. If there can be a fund that is operated very efficiently, more or less very automatically when it's built after it's done, so that human effort involvement is minimized, okay? Then, whether it's operated by like AI or simply by software, then it's possible to make a fund to have very, very low cost. So that's one thing. And if the fund manager, is willing to not take any, excessive profits, from the fund management, then it would also be possible to really have a very lean and low cost operation. Now, the second thing is, if the fund is really successful and the fund does make a profit off its investment, then it's also possible that a fund operates purely off the profits it generates, or maybe like a percentage of the profits it generates. So in theory, if a fund can be run very efficiently, in a very low cost manner, and secondly, if it can rely purely on the profit it generates as to cover its operational costs, then potentially a fund can be pretty much almost 0% fees. Now, the question is it possible, to actually have such a fund? So I'm actually quite pleased to share with you that there will be such a fund soon. And the reason is that with our fund, Joint Commonwealth Fund, JCF, which is a crypto index fund that invests in the top 10 cryptocurrencies and aiming to make basic income truly universal. What we're doing is that we're trying to invest on the crypto blockchain trend. We believe that it will take off, it will generate wealth. But on the other hand, we would also like to redistribute the profit wealth generated so that, all the fund participants and even non-investing participants who are entering the fund through donations can all receive passive income on a regular basis, so that people can be covered financially. So the fund current JCF design is that we have a 2% entry fee, okay, and 0.1 annual management fee. That's the current structure. And we also have what's called team tokens and donation that you have to donate out, which is about 7%. However, what we like to change is to have a 0% fee structure, meaning that when you enter the fund, it's actually going to be 0% whatsoever. So nothing is taken off from your investment. 100% of that goes into the allocation of the underlying assets, which are the top 10 cryptocurrencies in the market. Now, how do we survive, or cover our expense? So what happens is all the profits of the fund go into what's called a dividend pool regularly. And of the dividend pool, dividends are being paid to the fund participants. So once you receive dividends on a regular basis, which we currently plan to execute that to be, also to change that from yearly to monthly. And if that happens, 10% is charged off the dividends you receive. So of the 10%, 3% will be for JCF, for our team to cover expenses, and 7% will be donated to any individuals or organizations of your choice. So the idea behind this is you can sponsor someone and cover them, so to provide them with a form of passive income that can, financially protect them, or to support the organization for long term. So essentially, you don't have to pay anything if the fund is not making money. But if the fund does make a profit, then a percentage of that, is used for social goods and to cover the fund's operation. Okay, so we're pretty excited to, have this new design, and it's going to be implemented in the coming months. So wait for our announcements. And if you really like and to learn more, please go to jcf.world to learn more about us. And also, please go to our Facebook page to like us or subscribe our YouTube channel. All right, so that's it for this week's JCF Weekly. We'll see you next week. Thank you.